Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Joe Daddy's Garage. It is Monday, August 21st, 2023. Yep, third week of August. That means we got what, 5 months left? August, September, October, November. Ooh, wait a minute. August, September, October. 4 months left. Yeah, that makes sense. Because eight. We got 4 months left. So if you're looking to do some Christmas shopping, by all means, contact me and let me know what you want to get me. I have a laundry list of stuff that I could use around the shop, but we'll have to wait for Christmas for all that to happen, right? Okay. Again, it is Monday. It is hot, and if you look behind me, you will see a whole lot less of the 69 Mach 1 and pieces and parts. So if anybody follows me on Facebook, you already know I have dissected the main body of the car. You know, there's so many pieces that were bad, but there were a few pieces that were good, and we're trying to save whatever we can of that original car. The difficulty was, of course, we have limited space here, so having it sitting on the body cart really wasn't helping me out much. I'd already taken measurements from it, got everything I needed as reference points, so this I spent a couple days really and cut it into little pieces. The rest of it is on the back of my truck right now. Now, it's not going anywhere. I'm not parting with anything significant until the car is done. And the reason for that, and we've talked about this before, we had somebody else, I forget now who it was, made a comment last week. Well, he was on a live stream. It was Brian, I think. And we were talking about the idea that you don't get rid of stuff, at least not until you're done with the project. And there are a bunch of little pieces and parts and brackets and miscellaneous things that are part of these cars that you really, a lot of people, a lot of companies don't make those pieces. Now, thankfully for this Mach 1 project, the owner is buying a bunch of those pieces. He has found a supplier for a variety of brackets and little standoffs that hold interior panels and all that sort of thing. But without having a reference as to where those go, you're still kind of struggling. And I'd rather keep all of those independent pieces. Like these are the quarter panels. This is the, well, let's see, passenger side, and behind it is the driver's side. And you can see there is the interior structure that holds the roof and the side of the car all together. Well, on the wheelhouse and on that piece, in fact, there's a piece right there where I'm pointing, there's a little standoff, and that's designed to hold whatever interior panels you have. Now, does that mean they're going to end up in the exact same place? Well, not necessarily, but I have a reference that I know where they're supposed to go. The challenge can be if you are using an interior panel, and even if you're trying to copy exactly where it goes, you may not hit that same spot. And those interior panels, a lot of them have a dedicated screw hole, and you're almost further ahead, if you can, attaching that to the panel and setting it all in place and outlining where that piece goes so you can put it back on. So just a point of reference, if you have pieces and parts, hang on to that stuff so that you have somewhere to look when you're putting stuff back together. Anyway, let's see who's here tonight, and hopefully we have a good crowd. Anybody who is new to this live stream, if we have some new people, I encourage you to ask questions. We try to answer whatever questions we can, and if I can't give you a good answer, there's usually a great group of people over in the chat box who have answers that I can't provide. So shout out to everybody over there. But let's see who is. Oh yeah, by the way, if you do participate, you get a bell. Reward system. Let's see who is first in, and that was Rick Gain. I've had a very unproductive day. Looking forward to having some productive car talk. Everybody hit the like, thumbs up. Let's all have a good time tonight. Yes, let's hope we can do that. Thank you, Rick. Second in, Ed Cucciarella. Hello all. Hello, Ed. Glad you're here. Terry Keithley. Evening all on Barry. Please leave thumbs up and like. Thank you kindly. Yes. And I want to recommend everybody, if you haven't already, hit that bell notification button as well. It is one thing to be subscribed, but if you're not hit that bell notification, so when a video pops up, you might miss out on something. Point being, you see that right there sits that Arc Captain welder. Now, I had done a giveaway on that welder, or actually what would be another welder entirely, and I had to draw 3 different names until I actually got a winner. So the first person that I drew their name, they never responded to I replied on their comment. I pointed their name out on the video several times. They never responded to me. And the same thing with the second person. They never responded. But thankfully, Ray, he responded. So he ended up with the welding package. And I think if they had their bell notification turned on, they probably would have gotten the notice of the drawing video, and then they would have, it was more likely they would have responded to that. So just keep that in mind. Jerry from the Money Pit, Planet Orange Purple Ring. What? Good evening, all from Middle Tennessee. Thumbs up for Barry. I'm assuming that is a description of some sort of symbol, like a little Saturn or something. I don't know. But glad you're here, Jerry. Tommy from Busted Knuckle Garage checking in, hoping everyone is doing well. Glad you're here, Tommy. I know you are enjoying the heat like the rest of us, and it's only getting worse this week. I think it's going to be hitting, if I remember, I looked earlier on the app, and supposedly we're going to hit 100 degrees on Saturday, 99 on Friday, 95, 95, 97, 95. And then on Monday, it's going to drop. The high will be 87. So maybe we're done with the bulk of the summer stuff, and we could start enjoying maybe a little bit of the fall weather. But I know it's hot right now. So glad to hear, Tommy. Ray Buckman. Hey, good evening, Barry and crew. Hope everyone had a productive weekend on their projects. I spent the last couple of days, 4 hours total, pulling the radiator out of my vet. New radiator. You know, I can sympathize, I guess. I had to do that before. My buddy's 69 Corvette Stingray, or Corvette, whatever it was. I don't know if Corvette. It was the 427 car. And getting that radiator in and out, yeah, that's, especially by yourself, that is a challenge right there. So I hope everything went smoothly. But glad you're here, Ray. Dawn's Manufacturing, hello, folks, from Smoky PDX 85 and Kinda Sunny. Well, I guess Kinda Sunny is better than Kinda Rainy. And I know that it is, they're setting everything on fire now, it seems, you know. So I hope you're safe. I hope the fires die down. I know they're trying to, sounds like they're trying to burn down most of Canada right now, like they did the Maui. Let's not go there. But glad you're here, Dawn. If I didn't give you a bell, you get an extra one. Nandu, good evening, everyone. Hope you had a great weekend. Glad you're here, Nandu. Bob Shoemaker. Hot evening in Oklahoma. Heat came back this week, so AC will work overtime now. Yeah, we're seeing that for sure. I know that my wife and I were talking about that of course, our electric bill just keeps on going up, even though we're on a kind of a budget billing type of thing. It's up there, unfortunately. Rusty's Restoration, hello all from Southern Indiana. Glad to hear, Rusty. Simone checking in, hooked on classics. Hi, Barry and all. Can't stay, unfortunately. I have had a very long day. All the best. Thank you, Simone. She's over in the UK, by the way, if you don't already know that. Steve Reed, hello, Joe Daddy. First time. Oh, okay. And he says, I'm finally off tonight, so here live. Awesome. Glad you're here, Steve. It's nice to have, if apparently you've been watching later in the week, which is fine. But it's nice to have you here live, so maybe you'll participate even more. Rick Gain, anybody looking for Christmas to Christmas shop for Barry? Purchase some cat toys so his cat can stay more occupied. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Thank you, Rick. Dave Tyson, good evening, all. Good evening, Dave. Glad you're here. Oh, Steve Reed says I had a knee replacement, so I will be off work for a bit. Keep it stretching. That's all I can say. I know that's the big push they have on those is to put you on that machine and they want to bend your leg and keep moving it. My sister is an occupational therapist and she had both of her knees replaced and she pushed for, that movement. And I think she was even saying within the first week she could bend her new knees further than what her old knees would do. That's how hard she pushed herself on that. So by all means, put in the time, make it work. Rick, if running out of space to build the Cobra, charge the owner for the cost of extending the garage. All goes into the cost of building the car. Yeah, well, that sounds like a great plan. The difficulty is, I don't know if I can extend the garage any further. Unfortunately, they have restrictions, and the laws have changed since I built this garage. Originally, the limitation was 900 square feet, and now they've changed it to 1,800 square feet. A little late. Nothing I could do about it. The footprint's already here, and so not gonna go down that road. But yeah, that would be nice if I could pull that off. Richard Vogel, good evening, Barry. How much work is needed on the original quarter panels? That's a good question. The worst part is probably the bottom. Well, you can see right here. This is the rear on the passenger side. Both the driver and passenger side are very similar in probably 6 to 8 inches on the bottom in the rear. The front section, I had to cut both of those to separate them from the rocker panel. Now, that will leave me with another few inches that need to be replaced on that part of it. The other part up on top, on the one, it's pretty decent where the flanges all meet for the inner structure, and even in the back where the filler pieces and the tail panel attach. But there's some issue with where the deck filler panel, where it sits. Where those were attached on either side, some of that area is rusted away from that contact point. The contact point was still there, but part of that flange is gone. Now, I'm going to be digging into this. I've started a video already on part, 15. And most of that is just the destruction of the main body. Taking a plasma cutter and just cutting all that thing into pieces. And I will probably end that video with deconstruction of at least one of these quarter panels and show how that happens. And then also what I have to do at a certain point to fix things up. So mostly the lower half, or lower 6 to 8 inches of the quarters are bad, though. Good question. Glad you're here, Richard. Bruce Roberts, hello from British Columbia, Canada. Hot and smoky, folks. Sorry to hear that. Glad you're here. Crash Rider, greetings from cool and sunny southern Indiana. Just kidding, hotter than heck here. And it'll be getting hotter this week. Be sure to give Joe Daddy a thumbs up. Yes. Thank you, Crash Rider. Mr. Mikey, 1949, howdy from South Texas. It's been hot. That's what I hear. I know Robert was so hot that he left the state, from what I understand, at least temporarily. Rick, are we going to get a video of you putting a catalytic converter back on a car? No, I didn't do that. In fact, here's something on that. I think I mentioned it was last Monday. My daughter had called me early in the morning with her car making a lot of noise, and it turns out somebody decided to modify it. They crawled underneath the car and cut off the catalytic converter, and I told her to go ahead and drive to work, and then I took my car to her, did a swap, and drove her car home. Now, the situation on that is the Kia. It has two catalytic converters, and what I find interesting was there was no check engine light on. Nothing. Started looking at it a little harder, and I even had Roger come look at it. I didn't see any wiring for any O2 sensors. So I moved to the front of the vehicle where the main exhaust comes out, and there is a catalytic converter right there. And there's an O2 sensor in front and an O2 sensor behind. Then it goes through kind of a flex pipe thing, and then what would be the secondary catalytic converter. What does it do? I don't know. But they cut it off. They cut the flanges and everything. So I just made a straight pipe for it. I have a friend who owns he owns a muffler shop, and I went and talked to him, and basically I said I need a pipe, and it was just kind of funny. He was eating lunch at the time. I said, can you make me a pipe 18 inches by this? He said, you know how to run my machine. Go out there and make yourself one. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, I hadn't actually ever run his machine before. But I went out and I dug through the scrap pile and I pulled up a piece of pipe and cut it to length and used the expander and made my pipe, and then came home and just welded a straight pipe onto it. So at this point, it doesn't have the second catalytic converter. But I question whether it even needs one. And I think the only concern at that point is when it gets an emissions test. I know that they like to take a mirror and look underneath the vehicle and see if everything is there. We'll have to deal with it come next summer. If it becomes a problem, then I will work on it and maybe add replace a catalytic converter on it. But at this point, it has a straight pipe and it runs, and she's back on the road. So good question, but no, I did not make a video on that. Oh, Jeff, JK66 Mustang super sticker. Awesome, man. Thank you. I can't say how much that sort of thing means to me at this point. How do I do that? There's, the competition with YouTube is frustrating, and YouTube's algorithms. I've talked about this before, and I'm trying not to focus on it too much. I want to keep making videos. I want to keep people informed and all that sort of thing. And it's really frustrating to see basically my revenues just keep on going down. And I release a video and it gets a jump, which is great. But I can't release a video every other day. I'm not geared for that. So all those little, anything I say little, that's a good number, and it helps support me and keep me motivated. So thanks again. Let's see, where was I? Lynn. Hello, hanging in the garage, adding zinc to my motor oil. Well, there you go. That's a good thing to do. Glad you're here, Lynn. Michael Pagliarini. Hello, all from Rhode Island. I'm happy to say my wife's 65 has a driver's and passenger side floor pan. First time in 2 years. That's awesome. Glad you got them in. Robert, I'm here. What did I miss? Been running around as they keep changing gates for the flight. Okay. Well, it's hot. That's all I can tell you. You probably didn't miss that, though. And Robert says 100 degrees since June 11th, except for 6 days. 100 plus since June 11th, except for 6 days. Yeah. I'm sorry. Steve, always watch all your shows. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that. Richard, hello from sunny, very warm Florida. Glad you're here, Richard. One thing that stands out whenever we talk about heat and temperature, whatever. When I had last week, whatever day it was, Wednesday, I started cutting up the car, and I will wear my respirator, hearing protection, gloves, and I've had people make fun of me for wearing a respirator when I'm cutting with the plasma cutter. I mean, I've made other videos and they're like, "Oh, what's wrong with you? You're so tough." Blah blah, whatever. The thing is, when you're cutting with a plasma cutter, my goodness, this space fills up with smoke, and those are some probably really raw and dangerous chemicals that are out there. So I will wear that respirator. But I had the doors open, I had fans blowing, and it took some time for everything to dissipate. Like I would have my big door open, had fans in the front. I had the exhaust fans in the paint booth, just trying to get it out of there. And it would take a long time to get all the smoke out of here. So, you know, we have to take care of ourselves, and that's why I try. I know I don't always do it, but I try to wear hearing protection and safety glasses or a face shield. And I know I should wear the respirator more often, but I really, put it on there when I have smoke and stuff like that, especially from the plasma cutter. It can be really bad for you. But it was good when I did that because those couple days it was high of like 87 degrees or something like that, which is pretty comfortable when it comes down to it, as far as what kind of temperatures we're having. And I know that out west and everything, we hear like Robert's talking about the high temperatures, and those are difficult temperatures. I know that here in Georgia, we can have the temperature in the mid 90s, but we also have humidity that is really high. And so it'll rain for 10 minutes, and now you've just got steam coming off of everything. So that makes it difficult too. But we all have to deal with it in different ways, obviously. Dave Conville, good evening. Glad to hear Dave. Hope all is well. And out here in the garage, Ken in Flintville, Tennessee, heart attack a week ago, but the stent install went well and I feel better. A friend said I'm getting a rebuilt title. So I'm in AC ordering parts for my projects. Wow, heart attack. I'm glad you're still kicking. I'm glad you're still kicking. Wow. A week ago. Whew. I don't even want to think about having that happen, but I'm glad you're here. Terry Keithley thinking of buying the R Captain 200 TIG, $219 for it, not a bad price. Yes, and there's links in my description as well. I don't know if that's with your where you're finding that number, but I have in my R Captain videos, and probably the last Mustang video where I welded on the side, there should be a discount link for R Captain in there. So if you're going to do that, have a look at it, at that discount, see if it'll work for you. Rick says, not a second catalytic converter. The stupid thief stole the resonator. Actually, no, it was a catalytic converter, because it was behind the catalytic converter was the resonator. So I don't know. I'm not going to worry about it right now. We'll see what happens whenever the emissions test becomes due. But yeah, the resonator was still there, actually. Robert, YouTube revenue is peanuts now for berry sesame seeds in my case. Yeah, it's crazy. I don't understand it how it all works. I don't know. I try not to dwell on it too much. I'll just keep focusing on making videos and putting cars back together. Mr. Mikey, 100 plus, 59 days will break the record here. Okay. So I don't know how many days you're into that, but yeah, that's no fun. Ray, by the way, Barry, now that you have the mini chainsaw, are we going to see a yard cleanup video? Well, I did a video on my other channel for that, if you haven't seen it already. If you don't know, I have my other channel is called Joe Daddy's Workshop. And I did that video on that saw, and that video, there will be another giveaway. That company has said they will provide me with they will give another saw to somebody. Also, if you go to that video, they have a 70 8% discount using my code. I don't understand it. The saw, they sell it, they're selling it for $100, right? The discount puts it at $30. So if you're looking, and I think there's a timer on that discount. They generated these codes for me. So on the workshop channel, if you go to that video and you're interested in getting one of those, you can get it for $30. Yeah. And there's a timer. I think it's like so many days left on that timer. But there is a video out there. And I did cut up some trees, and they did a demonstration on it. Oh, speaking of which, since you brought that up, I've mentioned it before that I get people or companies that want me to try out their product, or they'll send me something and ask for a review on it. Now, that chainsaw, that was actually, they had sent it in an effort to get me to put it on Joe Daddy's Garage. And I don't like to do that with stuff that I typically wouldn't use in the garage, in my garage. Like, I want real tools, like the R Captain, right? So I had a company recently reach out to me, and they wanted me to demonstrate some like toolkits. And so I started looking at what they had, and they had a clamp set, like radiator clamp pliers and different things. And I'll say this, I was interested because when we had the body shop, we had bought a bunch of Snap-on tools. We had a Snap-on truck come by, and we bought a bunch of stuff on that. And they sell this, it's like a clamp, but it's on a cable. So when you squeeze the clamp, you compress the cable, and on the other end is this hook-shaped device that clamps onto a radiator hose. So if you are in more modern cars, obviously, but if you need to get that clamp off, you can take one hand and push that cable down into that clamp, squeeze your grips, and it'll lock it, and you can pull that thing loose. So that was part of the kit. Now, I can tell you that if you buy that off of one of the tool trucks, that thing is like $150 or more. That's what they charge for that. Well, this toolkit, it was like $50 for all these different clamps and stuff. So I said, and this is where I get kind of iffy on some of this stuff. I don't want to do videos for a product where the only thing that I get out of it is their product. Like R Captain, obviously that's more of a valuable item, right? The whole package. They even sent me more stuff. I'll have to grab it and show you. But if they're trying to get me to display something they're selling for $50, then what do I get from it? Nothing, other than that $50 item, which they really are selling for, or it's cost them not even half that. So what I've decided to do is, if they're going to offer me something, I'm going to tell them up front, you're going to have to pay me to do a review on this product. So I'm not going to turn down everything like I have been doing. If somebody's got a tool that I'm interested in and they're willing to compensate me for my time, then I will do an honest review on it. And I tell them up front, I'm not going to, if I don't like it, I'm not going to tell people I like it. It's just not how I operate. So they need to know that, as I move forward. But I'm going to probably start putting out a few more, not a lot, it won't be a lot, but a few more of those type of videos. Helps pay the bills, you know what I mean? So, let's see. Yeah, he was asking about the chainsaw. So, Doyle, hey all, finally felt good enough to get the driver's side floor pan replaced and rest repaired. Photos sent. Okay. I don't see him just yet. Might have to give it a minute. I don't know. Don't see him yet, Doyle. Ray says, just kidding. Oh, no, I did a video. It's just all on the other channel. CNJ Hoyt. Good evening. Been playing with Lincoln 180 and a Century 125. See which one I like best for sheet metal. Okay. Yeah. Glad you're here, CNJ. Robert, a lot of newer cars have a post catalytic converter. Yeah, and I don't know why they do, because I mean, who knows? I'm not even going to question it. Ray, don't understand YouTube. You're making quality content. I saw the video. Follow all the channels. Okay, well, thank you, Ray. Robert, great coupon code on that saw in the video link. Yes. Mr. Mikey says 57 days so far. 23 of them were 105 degrees. Whew. Not good. Ray Buckman, that's cheap. Yeah, it is cheap. Robert, I almost bought the saw, but I bought a mini split instead. Well, I know that the mini split will come in very handy. I know that. Joy Boley says, good evening. Well, good evening, Joy. Glad you're here. One other thing I want to point out, I don't know if you can see it. Sitting, let me go this way. See right there, that is the plasma cutter that I got from Yes Welder. Now, Yes Welder has been good to me. They've given me multiple tools, and the thing is, I've never been under a contract. I'm not signed to endorse anything. There's nothing that says I can't advertise other products. So the Yes Welder, that little Cut 55 DS, that is what I use to cut up the Cobra Jet body. And one of the problems I ran into is the tips on the gun. I burned up whatever I had, and I couldn't find any tips for it. And so I realized that some of the other welding machines that they had provided me had a newer, upgraded version of the cutting torch for the plasma cutter. Well, I went and grabbed one of those, and it hooked up. It actually hooked up exactly the same to that machine, and it was a better tip thing. So then I start cutting things apart, and I went through that one tip went a long, long way, and then it didn't. It just quit. And I was like, oh man. So I went rooting around the garage trying to find I thought there was a package of new tips for that one. Couldn't find them. I'm looking all over the place. Still couldn't find them. So I went online, and this package is ugly, but I went on Amazon, and they had a 60 count set of plasma cutter tips for like $11. And it gave me, I don't know how many of the tips and the ceramic cups and all that sort of thing. So I ordered that. I knew it wouldn't be here for a day or so. So I stopped. I said, okay. I went through the whole, I started in that corner of the garage and just worked my way all the way around. And I ended up back at the welding machine again. And sure enough, the package was sitting there. But when I picked it up, it had all the TIG components in it. And so I just glanced at that, and when I saw the TIG components, I just set it back down and kept moving. This time I stopped, and I looked at it, and I was like, those are the parts I need. So swapped out everything, went back to work, and finished cutting it up. But now I have I'm not going to say a lifetime supply, but I have a good supply of welding or plasma cutting tips. So that was a nice part. They were right there on Amazon. I could just order them and get them here. This is the shop. Been busy doing floors, kick panels, rocker panels, and cab corners on a rusty 80 GMC 3500 4x4 crew cab. Lots of rust. I know what that means. I know what lots of rust means. And I'm not jealous. Glad you were here. That's a big project, I'm sure. Robert, there are a ton of different plasma cutter tips. Different amp units have different ones. Yeah. Well, and the shapes are different and all that sort of thing. I managed to find ones that matched what I have. And, since I went back to, I was trying to cut with 110, and I kept having a breaker issue. Because I would cut, and then I would try to cut again, and it would run for a short period of time, and then things would get hot and it would pop the breaker. And then I remembered this has a 220 adapter. So I found the adapter and plugged it in. Now I could just cut and cut and cut and cut, and it never let up. let me show you some of the other things that Arc Captain sent me. Just a second. So, they were so happy with the video that I did on their product, their welder, and they said they were going to send me some stuff, and they did. So, this package right here has a consumable package for TIG. So it has all the cups, different size cups and tips and everything else. I didn't look to see if there was actual tungsten in there. I don't see any tungsten, but it does have all the holders for those. So that was nice of them to send me that. But they also sent me the TIG torch, and this is a touch start torch from what I understand. So I don't see tungsten in there, so I may have to get my own tungsten if I want to play with it. But at least I have it at this point. So again, really nice of them. Something else, I've been communicating with them with emails, and they had told me that they sent the new welder to Ray and other stuff, and we had already agreed on them sending that welder, and then I was going to send Ray the helmet that I used. So, this is the helmet. I did not send him the helmet. The reason for that is I've been using this helmet, and I've already got my this headband all sweaty, and I've got some scratches in it. And I said, you know what? I'll just send him another helmet. So I basically went on Amazon, ordered this helmet from Amazon, and sent it straight to Ray, and that way he gets a new helmet that isn't already all scummy from head sweat and everything else. And it was probably cheaper to do it that way than it would have been for me to ship this one via UPS or FedEx. So that worked out. So he's got a brand new helmet now instead of a sweaty one. But our captain also sent me another helmet. I like the one they sent. It's a nice little helmet. But this one comes in its own little bag here. And what I liked about this one was it has the bigger face screen on it. So I have not even tried this out yet. I've only pulled it out of the box once. But it's nice and narrow. Hopefully it's not too narrow on my big wide head. I'm not going to try it on right now. But I'm looking forward to giving this a try out as well. And it has controls on the side over here for whether you want to do grinding or welding, your delay time, your shade darkness, and sensitivity. So that's pretty cool. Very happy with what they've sent me, and I know they're happy with what I've done. Obviously for them in making these videos and stuff. Maybe down the road, they will want to send me something else, like a who knows? Maybe they'll send me a plasma cutter or something. But I'm not worried about it. I have one, but it's it's nice to have backup things like that. So, let's see, Robert. I'm impressed with the Arc Captain welders. It'll be a relearning experience so I get an argon tank and TIG again. Yeah. I will say I was happy with the Yes Welder products. Now they sent me that MiG 205DS, the blue one, and I really struggled with that one. I didn't like the way it reacted to my welding techniques. So I've had my Lincoln for years, and I'm used to the Lincoln. Hit the trigger, boom, you're going. And I tried to use that MiG 205, and it was just weird, and it would not do what I feel like it should have done. So I did a video on it. It would work, but it wasn't meant for like my type of welding. So I ended up putting that one to the side, and then they sent me another one, and then they sent me, I think, the MP200, and they sent me, I don't know, they sent me 2 or 3 different machines. Well, those later machines were much, much better than that first one that they put out. And then they sent me another MiG 205 DS, the black version, and I did a comparison video on those, and that was like a night and day difference between those two. So those machines are good machines. I'm happy with everything I'm using, but the first 205 DS they sent me, I probably will never use that again. But when I pulled out the Arc Captain and I started hitting welds with it, and I was just like, wow, this thing has a great sound to it. It feeds nice. The internal light, all those little things make me more interested in the Arc Captain brand. I'm just saying. Now, does that mean I'm going to part with my other MiG equipment from Yes Welder? Probably not. But I'm very, very happy with what I can do with the Arc Captain. So I may have to experiment as well with the TIG setup at some point. Jerry, is the discount code for the Arc Captain on the review video? I'm planning to order the MP200 with the aluminum spool gun. Yes, it is on a review video, and it should be under any of the Mustang videos, the Mach 1. If you look in the description box down below, there are links to everything that I'm using: Evolution Power Tools, the Arc Captain, Amazon stuff. So anything is in that description. So if you go there and look, you can see that, and it should give you some sort of a discount on the whatever you want to buy. That's a good question, Jerry, by the way. Thank you. Ray, I got that same box with the Arc Captain. It's a great looking welder. Can't wait to give it a try. Yes. Yeah, they gave you more off the start than I got. They sent me that stuff later. But we've been in great communication with with all this, so I'm very happy with them. Rusty's Restoration put a removable fastback top on the 67 convertible, similar to what I'm doing on the 68. Send an email. Okay, so Doyle, I don't know where. I don't see Doyle's pictures. I know he had said he sent something, but I don't see them. So I don't know what happened, Doyle. I have Rusty's stuff came through. Okay, I have to clear some stuff up here before I can pull those up. I've been looking at Nick Moss on Instagram. He's got some great pictures of his painted up Mustang. I don't know if he's going to be on tonight or not, but really, car's looking really good, as it should. Okay, so here's a picture of the 67 that he has mentioned, and he says he put a removable fastback top on the 67 convertible, similar to what I'm doing on the 68. So let's see. Okay, so I guess that top piece is fiberglass, is that right? I'm assuming. Let me see what this other one has. Got one more picture here. Yeah, there's the 68 with the big quarters on it. Huh. That's interesting. That's interesting. Have to see it once it's all painted up and looking good. But looks good. Thank you, Rusty. Robert, is it Just my neighbor and I that complain that the auto darkening helmets get too dark, even on the lightest settings. That's a good question. I know that uh, for me, I usually have it set around 10, maybe even 11. My eyes are really sensitive to light, and at times I will find that I have it set high, and I have to almost kind of make a little map in my head of where I'm welding because I want to, I can see it where the arc is, but I don't like to. I can't see much around where that arc is, so they do get pretty dark. Whoops, Mr. Mikey. Is there much of a fire danger with the plasma cutter? Probably. um, I the worst I've caught is like old mouse nests in the car. I've caught stuff like that on fire. I have caught some cardboard on fire that I didn't know was in the area. Um, but for the most part, I mean, unless you have flammables all over the place, I don't see it being that much of a risk. Just be cautious with how you're cutting and where the sparks are flying. Good question, Mr. Mikey. Terry. So then the big tour. Wait. Oh, then the TIG tour doesn't require. Oh, okay. So the TIG torch. Sorry, it says tour. I'm reading what it says. The TIG torch doesn't require a foot pedal. That's my understanding. It is a because like in the aircraft industry, I know plenty of welders out there, and I'll watch them they'll start and get close and hit the arc, and they adjust it with a foot pedal. My understanding with these newer machines is they kind of self adjust, let's say, and I actually saw a video about this where a young man at a welding school, he was like trying to touch the whatever he was welding, the plate, as a learning process. So he was trying to touch and get the arc going, and the instructor said, "Don't do it that way." He put the rod down, and he touched the rod real quick instead of touching the parent metal. And when he did that, then it created the arc that he needed. I have not really messed with these machines with that control, so I can't say exactly how it all works. But my understanding is you touch it, get the arc going, and then it almost like adjusts somehow magically. Some sort of wizardry stuff takes place, but I have not been able to do any of that at this point. So that is a good question, but there is no foot pedal. Ray, I've seen that roof modification on an earlier Mustang. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Richard, what are you currently doing on the 69 Mach 1? Well, I don't know if you saw the last video. The floor pan is still on the jig. I have the side panel welded on. I test fitted the quarter panel, and I have cut up the rest of the car, the original car. It's all in pieces. These are the quarter panels laying out right here. Over here is the driver's side rocker panel. And I need to separate all the welds from that and get the save as much of the the quarter panels as I can. So I have to break a lot of spot welds. That's what it's going to be the focus. It's getting all that stuff separated, treat whatever I can, stop whatever rust is there, and prepare to have those pieces fitted to the car. Now, one big difference, the B pillar on the passenger side, it was rusted beyond use. The B pillar on the driver's side, it has rust, but I did pull it with the quarter panel, and I'm going to try to save that piece. I probably will still separate it from the quarter, simply because I'm concerned with the rust being in between those two panels. I want to make sure all that's clean. But I'm going to try to save that B pillar on the driver's side. Cricado Funilaria. You've been on here before. I think that means good night. I don't know what the rest of it means. I think. Glad you're here. Roger checking in from next door. Sorry I'm late. Greetings. Greetings, Roger. Glad you're here. Frank Rodriguez. Hello, all. Hello, Frank. Doyle, I've noticed that if you use a LED light to illuminate the work area, the auto darkening helmets look darker even on 9. That could very well be part of it. Oh, let me see here. So, okay. I've got some pictures from Doyle. Let me see how. Let me get a couple of these pulled down. That looks really good. Give me just a second here. Unfortunately, I keep forgetting I need to remove other things. Let's see if that works. Yeah, Doyle. Let's see if this picture shows up. Okay, that's the welded in picture. But he has another. Well, it didn't pull them all up. Thought I downloaded all those. Come on. It's coming. Here it is. Okay. So let me just pull this down for a second. So this is the floor pan, and I'm trying to remember. I know it's a GM. If it's a Buick or Oldsmobile or I don't remember exactly. Cutlass, I think. I don't remember. And let's see if I can get these other pictures. So he's been working on this. He sent me other pictures of the quarters and all that stuff that he's done on it. And I think I have. I have too many pictures, it says. I wish there was an easy way to do this, but I have to kind of wait for all the satellites to align and okay. So that was the floor with the rust, and then he has the layered in that patch panel. And I can't tell for sure what's around the perimeter, but here it is cut out. Okay. So it's got a new cross member. It looks like a new cross member for the transmission. That's always nice. And then there's that floor pan. I can't tell. The gap is pretty big around that. And I don't know if it's just the way it looks or if that's like weld through primer or something like that. And then there it is all welded in. So that's a huge improvement. I'm sure you're glad you got all that welded in. It's those sort of things that you can see that progress. You look at something that's all rusty, and like I'd walk in and look at the Mach 1 all rusted up, and the more I look at it, I'm like, I'm done with what I need from this vehicle, so I have to just dissect it and get it out of my space. And anytime you can see that kind of progress, it really helps you stay motivated, I should say. Robert, we're talking about the plasma cutter. Don't let the burlap and I don't know what that is, Robert. What is it? SISAL? I don't know what you're trying to say. On the old seats smolder, the smell is horrendously bad. Yeah, you don't want to do that. Okay. Bruce, I burned through my gloves and took off the tip of my finger with a plasma cutter. Big ouch. Be super careful and wear thick gloves. Oh yeah, that doesn't sound very nice at all. I know as a habit I wear fairly thin welding gloves when I do it, but I also keep my hands away from anything that I'm cutting. So good observation there. Sorry you had to learn that the hard way. The shop, I love my Lincoln 180 220 MIG I bought from Canadian Tire. It is definitely a great little welder. Yes, they are good welders. Dave Britton, hey Barry, hope all is well. Glad to hear Dave. Scott Himmel, what do you think of weld through primer before painting engine? Um, to me, those are two different animals. I don't know that I wouldn't use weld through primer. I don't use weld through primer anymore, even for welding. I've looked into it a little bit, and I don't like what it does. Like I've had issues with the weld not actually wanting to weld to that stuff. The weld through primer is meant to be kind of, let's say, cooked into what you're welding, that area around it. And I guess it does work to a point, but in my mind, I'm burning out most of it in that process. So, what am I gaining from it? I'm what I normally do now is I'll put primer down, like regular primer, and then I'll grind away that area where I'm going to be welding so that I have good metal to metal contact. I'm not saying don't use weld through primer. I just know I'm just not as excited about it as I was before when I'd used it in the past. I found it made some difficulty welding. But weld through primer on an engine, I don't see any benefit to that. I don't know. I've never even thought about that. Um, I know any engines that I've done a thorough cleaning on it, and primer by itself, regular primer works just fine. You know, I wouldn't use weld through primer on an engine. Good question though. Thank you, Scott. Dave Tyson picked up interior set for my wife's '66 Mustang. $200 seats, door panels, etc., or $600 seats, door panels, etc. That sounds like a deal. That sounds like a deal. Mr. Mikey, the language Portuguese for good night, good job. Okay, well, thank you. I know I don't have time to look that up, but thanks. He's been on here before, and I appreciate him being here. Doyle, that was copper weld through primer, and that was before I used the screws to pull it tight and remove the gaps. Okay, that makes sense now. Bruce, weld through primer is useless. Don't like it. No penetration with the weld. I won't say it's completely useless, but I know that it's made it difficult for me at times to weld. And I've used copper and I've used zinc, and I've kind of just given up on it. And I think part of that reasoning is, and I mentioned this many times before, when we're working on these cars and we're putting them together, we're doing more to these cars than they ever did at the factory. I'll have examples of these panels in my future video, but any kind of paint that gets on the raw metal is beneficial. And then the cars that we're rebuilding now, those cars were daily drivers for everybody. You know, when they bought 65 Mustang or Mustangs or 66 or any car, you look at they didn't buy them to drive them on Sunday. Those were their commuter vehicles. Those were taking kids to the ball game. Those were going to work and getting groceries, all those sort of things. So they all had to endure the weather, snow and rain and rock salt and all that stuff that they put on to get ice, and it was just destroying these cars. So for us, whenever we are rebuilding these cars and removing all that rust and all those other things, we're also being proactive. I would hope, like I know if I've got any bare metal, I'm putting something on it. If I have some rust, I'm going to address it and fix it. But also seam sealer, all those sort of things. And then ultimately, we're not driving these cars every day. I would say 99% of us, we're enjoying the car on the weekend or go to the park or maybe a cruise in or something along those lines. So the likelihood of exposure is minimal at this point. And, you know, anything we do is much better than what they did at the factory back in the 60s and into the 70s. The shop, I love my U-pole weld through copper primer. Guess just what I'm used to. Okay, I get that. Nick Moss. Hello, Nick. Glad you're here. I was just talking about you earlier. I know that I was mentioning you had posted some pictures on Instagram of the fresh buffing or sanding and buffing they were whatever they were doing to your car, and it's looking really good. Scott Himmel, primer by the exhaust, maybe headers. Yeah, I don't know if he was talking about the engine itself, or well, you're talking about the engine. Because see, they make engine paint. They make engine paint that's designed to go to like 1,500 degrees or something like that. So I would use that before I would put any kind of weld-through primer on there. I understand where you're coming from, but the weld-through primer, it'll burn just like anything else. But they do make engine paint specifically for high temperatures. Richard, great show tonight, Barry. I'm learning so much from you. Thank you so much. You're welcome, Richard. Glad you're here. I know I probably already gave you a bell, but I'm just giving you an extra one. Rick Gain, why bother welding? Just use the flex tape stuff they advertise on TV. Yes. Why not? Doyle, I sand the area with a die grinder where the welds will be. I figured it would add some protection. Yeah, it will add some protection. And see, there's my point exactly. You know, you put weld through primer on, which is supposed to be consumed at the point of welding, and then we grind it back off to make a good weld. Well, are we gaining anything? That's why I'm okay with putting some primer in other locations, and then just having that bare metal and dealing with it later. Robert, even our daily drivers rarely get driven in the rain. Might be because it rarely rains here, though. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I have somebody sent me a question. I think it's separate from. He's probably not watching the live stream right now. So I don't think. I don't think he is. I'll have to look at that in a minute. Nick, if you want to send pictures, yeah, that'd be awesome. Rick, I hope these advertisers are making you money, but they're getting annoying during a live stream. So are they're putting ads on the live stream? Is that what you're saying? Because I have not kept up with that. So maybe that's something new they're doing. But I hope it's not affecting it too much. Sorry if it is. Nick, you want those pics? Yes, send me a couple pics. Crash Rider just had an ad pop up on the channel. Weird. Okay. Well, I don't know if that's. I mean, I don't know if I can address that or not. If that's a bothersome thing, let me know. Because I'm not. I don't know if I can address that or not. Just let me know. I'll see if I can do something about it later if I have to. Robert, any regular body paint will do fine on the block heads and covers. Yeah. Clark Clifford. Hi, Barry. Hi, Clark. Glad you're here. Hope all is well. Mr. Mikey, my 67 coupe was taken to car wash in January 68 to wash the salt off. Snow country cold. Red oxide primer was on the frame underneath. Yes. That's good. Nick, it's not 100% buffed out yet because they hadn't shot the black yet. I think they might have done that today or some point this week. It's really hot, so that might hinder that. Okay. I'll use it on one of those picks there, Nick. Let's see. See if I can get this one to come up. Nope, I got to get rid of something else. Let's get rid of this one. So here's a picture of Nick's car. And I think you're saying the tail panel is going to get painted black, if I remember correctly. I like the color, and I think in your Instagram you said it's orange. Dawn says rain. We got rain. Okay. Um, the shop says no ads. I enjoy the reviews. And Roger says yes, there are ads on the stream tonight. Okay. Doyle says I've seen about 8 since I've been here. Okay. Robert, 2 ads from me so far. Have seen them on others in the past. Yeah, I don't know if that's something new they added to mine. I don't know. I'm hoping it doesn't affect everybody too much, but I mean, if it's part of the process, and maybe that's what helps generate some revenue. I don't know. Might be a good thing. Hate to have everybody, sit through those, but it may be a good thing on my side of it. Dawn says 3 seasons in Portland, raining, really raining, still raining, and road construction. I think it's 4. I think that's 4 seasons, Dawn. KG, howdy. I watch regularly, but mostly quiet. Sent a couple of pics with a question. Okay. So that's what I'd seen that pop up. Let me see if I can look at your pictures here. Okay, so I'll download that real quick. Let me look at this other one. Yeah, similar situation. Let me see if I can get that up and show you, give a response to that. So here's the picture that they sent me, and that looks like, I mean, I see a frame rail. Let me look at that a little harder on my. So that's the question is about the rust that is visible, those rust holes. Now, part of the answer is going to be, can you do some fabrication? Like, you're probably not gonna want to weld those holes shut, even though I have done that before. I've welded many holes shut like that. But that area, my mind is kind of disoriented here. We're looking at that picture. I know I see a frame rail, and I want to say that's the back seat area, right? I believe. Basically, what I would do in that situation is, let me pull that picture back down, because what I would do in that situation is make a filler piece. If I have to hand form one, it wouldn't take much to bend something up to make it fit in that area, because you don't want to cut that whole panel out. But if you can make just a filler piece and weld that in, grind it out, make it smooth, give you a solid platform to get back into. I know that I've used a variety of different things to make curves and stuff like that. And once you get the shape where you need it, cut out what's there and weld it in. I mean, if you're good at welding, you could weld those holes shut. So I don't know if that's the answer you're looking for. But yeah, so that's the area underneath the back seat on a 65. Yes. But I have had similar problems in that area and welded them, either welded them shut or made a patch piece to fit in there. So I think I did that on the, now that I think about it, on Mystique. I'm pretty sure I did that on Mystique. So if you go to the video series Mystique, the playlist, and when I do the floor pans on that, I think that car I did those same patches on. So have a look at that and see if that helps. But good question. Thank you. I think it's Kevin. Is that right? I think it was Kevin. Yeah. Thanks, Kevin. Nick, let's go back to that real quick. I want to see this picture again. He says it's sort of a flop paint because it looks red in those photos, but in the sun it's orange with a lot of shadows around the body lines. It's a neat color. I can't wait to see pictures of that out in the sun. That's going to be really cool looking. I'm looking forward to those pictures. Rick, commercials keep popping up every once in a while, but it's worth it for the content of the live stream. Okay, well, thank you, Rick. Yeah, and if it helps revenue, it's kind of what I may have to just let it go. Nick says the tail panel and hood are black. Okay. Everybody seems to like it. Dave Britton says looking good. Mr. Mikey likes it. Mikey likes it. Dave Tyson likes it. Okay, all good. Steve Reed says he had no ads. Okay, well, it may vary. I don't know. Like if you are a YouTube whatever subscriber, pay per view, whatever, you may not see any ads. I don't know how all that works. Crash Rider just went ad for me. Okay. Yeah. That area under the back seat, okay. And okay, great. I'll look that up. Same thoughts I was having. Yes. Yeah, you definitely don't want to cut that thing out. That would be too much work for that. But I'm pretty sure that's what I did on the Mystique. The shop. Wonder why everyone else gets ads and I don't. Only time I get an ad is when I first logged on. I'm not a subscriber. I don't know. Rusty, what's the next step on a Cobra Jet? It's starting to come together. Yeah, the next step is to separate the quarters, get all the sheet metal off from the inside of the quarter panels, see what I have to work with, what may need to be repaired in order to get it, fitted up to the car, the main structure at this point. I'll be working on the quarters and separating the inner rocker from the outer rocker on that's the driver's side rocker panel. There is some repair work that has to happen to that as well. So that's going to be probably the bulk of my time. Right now will be spent on taking all that stuff apart. But that's the plan at this point. Now, of course, you've probably seen the video that I have the side on the car. I want to get the other side on, so I need to get the rocker panel on and get that other half welded up and get the the header panels for the roof. I want to do a complete fit of everything before I start welding, as I always say. That's another thing. There's going to be there are some new shirts on my in my link. Usually down below it has like t-shirts and whatnot. Andrew, Grease Rookie, has created some artwork for me. And I've posted those on my Teespring account. And I've ordered some. I'm waiting for them to show up myself, or for my own purposes. But there's one that says Gasoline Forever. One has a burnout car on it. And one of them says Test Fit, Test Fit, Test Fit. So very important that you do all that. The shop, sorry, I'm a subscriber. I don't pay for my subscription. Yeah, okay. Yeah, because if you weren't a subscriber, you wouldn't be commenting. That much I know. that's one thing that I can control now is limiting who can make comments, because I've had clowns come on before. I've tried to do it that anybody could come on, and then I find that there's clowns that show up and try to ruin the party for everybody. Crash Rider, really a nice color, Nick. Yep. I'm looking forward to seeing it in the sun. Michael says no ads if you have YouTube Premium. Okay. Rick, if the commercials help make you more money, you can spend more on cat toys. That is true. That is true. I can do that. The shop, I'm not a Ford guy, but that color on that Mustang would look very good on a Chevy. It is a nice color. I forget, Nick, you have to tell us what that color was again. I know it's not a Ford color. It's off of something else. So let us know what that is. Rusty, I'm going to get some shirts. Awesome. Have a look at them. Robert, need to bribe Andrew to make me a logo. Yeah, yours might be a little complicated. I don't know. The Infernal Craftsman, that sounds pretty hard to come up with. I'm picturing a forge, some sort of a forge, maybe a blacksmith outfit, type of thing. I don't know. Trying to envision what an Infernal Craftsman would look like. Doyle says, Barry, what is your best way to insulate the floors? X-Mat, where's the best place to get it? How can I figure the number of pieces needed? That's a good question. All those are good questions. I know I've been using, what did I use? I use Kilmat on my Jade Mustang. And I got it off of Amazon. And that was one of those things where it tells you how many square feet you get in the box. And it's really hard to guesstimate that, because I learned from doing mine that, okay, so you have a regular floor pan, this space is X by X distance, so I know this will fit. But what you run into is all the variables. So when you come into a transition, where you got something like that, or you have the dips in the floor, that consumes part of your material when you use it. But I'm sure I have links to that on my Amazon page. I have different categories, and Kilmat is one of those. I have it in products that I use, and the difficulty again is how many square feet do you need? Well, I know I ordered one box, and I just kind of went with how far I could get with that box. And I said, okay, I can do half of it or a little over half. So I ended up getting the second box, and that took care of everything. But it's really hard to guesstimate. It just really is. It depends on how far you want to go. Like, some people will go so far as to line the inside of their quarter panels. They'll line the inside of their door panels or their doors with that stuff. They'll do the headliner underneath where the headliner goes. They'll stick them up there. So it's maybe just order one box and see what happens. See how far you can get with it. Busted Knuckle Tommy, YouTube Premium or Prime eliminates ads. Yep. Nick, man, I'm telling you that lizard skin stuff is super simple and light and works very good. You can literally lay it down in minutes. Okay. So there's a shout out for lizard skin. Nick, it's a BMW color. I have to ask the body guy again because the name is escaping me right now. I know you have told me in the past what that color was, but I don't know what the I don't remember, obviously. Michael Pagliarini, KG, that is the rear transition pan. They do make reinforcement. Oh, talking to Kevin about that. So they make a patch panel for that? Because there's also in that same area where if you had dual exhaust, they would put that extra piece in there as well to strengthen that area for your dual exhaust. But that would be kind of behind that lower transition. So thank you, Michael. KG, it is. I thought about getting the reinforcement piece for use with dual exhaust, cover the area. See that? Okay, there you go. You're already thinking. I didn't see that, but yes, not a bad idea. Rick Stevenson. Good evening, everyone. Sorry I'm late. Just got home from Costa Rica. Well, glad you're here, Rick. Glad you're here. Oh, sorry, missed a bell. Shop, I need a logo too, but I'm not going to push my channel until I get my shop itself looking better to look more professional. Even then, it's not really worth building a YouTube channel these days. Yeah, that is difficult. I've been making videos steadily, like this shirt right here. It says "Drive On" since 2011, right? So probably that's when I really started digging into making videos. But I've been on YouTube, I think, since 2009 or something. It is tough. It's a very tough market for anybody to get into. Michael, a reinforcement plate for exhaust hangers you can use as a template to make a piece yourself. Not a bad idea. KG, though, exhaust will probably be out the sides, R model style. Okay. Well, you can still put them in. Wouldn't hurt. Would not hurt. Let's see. There was, what did I see? I saw a video clip because one of the things that the owner and I have talked about with the Mach 1 project is making the air ducts actually work. And, because the 69 has the air pocket opening on the side, right? And I saw a video clip. It was a 67. Now, this car was not, it was not like, I think it was 67. It might have been 68. But anyway, they totally customized this opening. It was not even close to what the 69 looked like. And they made a transition tunnel. Because I was trying to think, how am I going to approach this? I don't know what it looks like to have a functional vent on the quarter panel. But the owner wants that. He wants to have that. And I think it's a cool kind of challenge. And so I saw that video, and they had, it had the offset, let's say, opening, because your quarter panel is a transition, right? So it kind of had this offset opening. And then they built a tunnel that went down on top of the wheelhouse. Now, I think the original intent of that was they were supposed to have a duct on there that went around the wheel and pushed onto the brakes. That was the original intent. Now, whether we get to that point or not, I don't know for sure. It'd be kind of cool to create that, but this gave me a vision of what I need to look, and try to build, in a sense, for that ducting to work. It could be very interesting. KG, only $30 each for the reinforcement pieces. That's reasonable. And good idea. I think I'll go with that. Yeah. That's something else. I just thought about that. The Mach 1, it has the original plates in that transition. Same thing. I don't know if they're usable, though, because that is something we'll probably have to consider for this build. I know the owner would probably want to have those. So I'm sure we'll have a discussion on this soon. But I don't think we have those yet. We've got a lot of other parts, but I don't think we have it. He keeps asking me, what else do we need? What else do we need? And I hadn't thought about that till just now. So have to keep that in mind. Robert, headed to Lexington, Kentucky in a bit. Everyone take care. 1 day away from the heat. Well, have a safe trip. Hope you enjoy it. I don't know how much cooler it'll be in Lexington, but hopefully it's better than what it is in Texas. But yeah, that's those are those plates is something I have to consider, and then that ducting, because you know that when they did that, you know, the intent was a for the Trans Am style racing or whatever, that they would have that air vent pushing onto it. And they actually had, I don't know if they had it on the fronts. I'm sure they had something configured for the front to create a duct on there. But I know that was like a big push for like Smokey Yunick when he did all his Trans Am stuff. He had some crazy innovations that he put on his cars, and I think I remember reading about that. He had some sort of a ducting system set up on his Camaros, and it makes sense. It makes sense. Nick says, "Have a safe trip, Robert." Kevin says, 105 degrees in Texas today in Texas. Yeah, no thanks. I know it's obviously, like we said before, dry heat, wet, you know, humidity. Still, it's hot. It is hot. Doyle, Robert, I'm in northern Tennessee. It will be 100 tomorrow here and a heat index of 115. So maybe, or 115 or so, maybe now be safe. Yeah. Yeah, it's some crazy temperatures we're having. And I know it's going to, there was some talk about it. Of course, everybody's going to say it's climate change and blah, blah, blah. What they don't want to tell you, they don't talk about the underwater volcano that has erupted, which caused a huge influx of moisture into the atmosphere, which they say is helping hold the heat in. So, anyway, Crash Rider says, sorry, Robert, but Lexington isn't much cooler. Jerry, I'm headed to Lubbock, Texas at the end of the month to pick up some barn find cars. I'm hoping it's not over 100, but it's just wishful thinking. Yeah, well, it's going to be hot. It's going to be hot, Jerry. And Nick says, out of the frying pan into the fire. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, update on the RV situation. I know I've been talking about this, and we've been trying to gather everything we need to have the RV ready to go. And what that means is stuff. Like I've got because this RV does not have leveling jacks on it, you have to drive it up on wedges. So I bought a set of wedges. You have to have obviously water supply. We've got a water filter. We've got a pressure regulator. We ordered a surge protector now. I think that's been a big push in the industry. So surge protector, and we finally have come around to getting. My wife got some plates. We've got something to make coffee with, and so we're really getting close to making our first excursion with the RV. The plan is to stay within a short distance, let's say from where we live, and just go and get set up and see how things go. The other thing is, I think I mentioned I picked up a tow dolly from a buddy of mine, and it needed tires, so I've got a new set of tires on it, and I've never, I mean, I've towed with stuff before. I've never towed with a tow dolly, so that's another thing I want to get set up on the RV and see how that goes, you know, because we've had some conversation. There was somebody has asked me about a car that they have up at the Tennessee-Georgia border, and they want me to do some work to it. And I will say this, I've been getting a lot more requests to do work for people. Obviously, I'm just doing this in my garage. For the most part, it's just me, so I can't commit to, you know, really much of anything. But I don't want to say completely no to everybody, but I can't say yes to every single situation. But the picture he sent me was a really nice looking car, but it had been repaired after a wreck sometime. I don't know when the timeline is, and they didn't do it right. It's a fastback. I think it's 67 or 68 fastback, and car looks fantastic, but it's got damage, and it's up, like I said, Tennessee border. And so I was telling my wife about it, and she said, "Well, can we make it? Maybe we can do a road trip to go look at it." Actually, she was saying she was thinking make a road trip and go work on it. But if it needs a floor pan, that's not something I'm going to be able to do on a weekend at somebody's house. Um, but that is something we're trying to get everything going with the RV so we can start making some of these trips. Let's see, Dave Britton. Don't forget a box of disposable gloves for dumping the holding tanks. Very good point. And there's actually some already in the RV. They came with it, so that's a good plus. Roger says backing up with a tow dolly was interesting. I don't think I would even want to try that. Don't think I even want to try that. The Dutchman's Wood Shack says hi. Hello to you. Doyle, remember you can't back up a tow dolly, not like a boat or trailer. I believe you. I believe you. And I know this tow dolly has a pivot function on it as well. So that may be a. I don't even think I want to try backing up with a tow dolly. So the plan is to get from point here to point B and undo everything, and then put the RV in its spot. So we'll see how it goes. Nick says, "Hey man, I only got one hand. Lend me one of yours, buddy. Want to drive this for my birthday when I'm better." Wait a minute. You want me to come drive it? Is that what you're saying? Maybe I'm not reading that right. You want me to come drive it for your birthday? I can do that. The Dutchman, hey, I have a 66 Mustang and I'm having all kinds of problems. Yeah. He says, I keep having power steering leaks. Well, it's hard to help you with those. Oh, okay. The Dutchman says the boot on the tie rod won't stay in place and therefore it leaks. Okay, so I'm assuming you have the original booster style system, I'm guessing is what you're implying there. And I've heard those are a royal pain. They don't work well and they leak. And I don't know what the fix is. I know that there's some places out there, maybe the Cougar place. They might do an exchange, or you send it to them and they rebuild it and make it better. But I've not heard really good things about that setup at all. Nick says, I'll buy you a truckload of those dang Pennsylvania goo cakes. Or whatever they are. They're gobs. They're gobs, Nick. Says you can sit in the seat and make vroom sounds at passenger side. Okay. Yes, Dutchman, I don't have an easy answer for you on that, other than I've heard people send them off and get rebuilt. Rick says West Coast Classic Cougars. Yes, that's what I was looking for. So you might have to contact somebody like that and see if you can send it to them to get it rebuilt. Otherwise, maybe look at upgrading, to something different. I know it's difficult if you want to keep it a car original, but that system was not a great design at all. And the Dutchman says it sucks having a antique auto. Well, it can, but we can also look at it different ways. Like my '68 Mustang, I upgraded to a Borgeson power steering system, put in the power steering box, added a pump, drives really, really nice. Like Jerry is saying, E-Pass doesn't leak oil, and he has an electric power assist in his car. Now his car is modified, and he's okay with that. Now some people don't want to cut up the original car, and I get that. So when you have that situation, then you have to try to find other ways around it. So maybe contact West Coast Cougar. They're online, and see if they can't give you some advice. I know you're saying no to something. I'm not sure. Rick says, Barry, if you were in the area, I'd be happy to let you drive my 65 coupe. Circumstances out of my control may force me to sell within the near future. Sorry to hear that, Rick. Rick Stevenson, give them a call. Worst thing they can do is say that they can't help you. Talking about getting that rebuilt. Bob Shoemaker had ad come up and stayed up after ending with no skip option. Has to opt out and re-sign on. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I don't want it to cause problems. I don't know if I can control that. So, Dutchman, if you strip it all of original stuff, you might as well buy a new one. Yeah, that is true. That is true. But you can get stuff rebuilt. West Coast Classic Cougar can probably help you out with that. Doyle, the main thing about a classic car is that is taken care of most of the time, goes up in value, unlike a newer car that depreciates. Good point. Terry, is that a blue car you have? You're talking about Jade? Yes, the blue car. Also known as Gulfstream Aqua. The Dutchman, I might sell mine to Rick. It's one thing after another. I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, I know it can be very frustrating. And I don't know what else is wrong with the car. Hey, Nick. Nick's checking in. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate that. Glad you're here. I'm probably just getting close to the end of the stream. But I do appreciate that, Nick. Hope all is well with you. If you haven't seen Nick Pixel TV, go check out his channel. Nick is actually married to my niece. So he's got some cool stuff on his channel. Does a lot with chainsaws and power tools. And he's working on a property that he and my niece have bought together. And so when I visited him, we got to hang out a little bit when I picked up a Studebaker engine from him at his property. And he's got some cool stuff on there. So give him a look if you haven't already. Dawn says that guy in Texas that Robert hooked me up with is the power steering expert. Okay. That's good to know. Nick, man, I don't know what I'd do if I couldn't own a classic car. I know mine is super modified, but I like them original too. I'd really love a Max Wedge Polara. That would be an interesting car to have. Yeah. Whoops, the shop. I was away from your channel for a while, just got busy. Whatever happened to that Camaro you were building? Well, I was building the Camaro, long ago, and then I got back on it, started putting stuff back together. So the side is on it. I got everything welded on. I was fitting up the quarter panels that came with the car, not ones I bought, that came with the car. And I really didn't like the way they were fitting. So I set it aside. At the time, Auto Metal Direct said they were going to give me some quarter panels, and they never followed through. I don't know what happened with that. And in the meantime, I started working on other stuff back into, a variety of other cars. I did the 56 Chevy that I put the gasser front end underneath it. Then I got, I don't know, there's all kinds of stuff. But there's a lot of things that I just kept working on. I did the Bronco, painted the Bronco. So there's a lot of stuff that came about. But those panels did not fit the way I wanted them to fit. And so likely what I'm going to do is drive up to Auto Metal Direct. They're here in Georgia. Get quarter panels, get the tail, get everything I need to make it right, and just take care of it on my end. But for now, I've got to finish up the Cobra Jet project. That's where I'm at. Good question, though. Richard says, Roar, Jerry says, I seen Gulfstream Aqua coming. Yes, or that color is also known as Aqua Blue Poly. Just so you know. Those are the two names for that. Richard says, evening all. Glad you're here. Nick, you'll be back to make more videos. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, check out his channel. He does some cool stuff. The Dutchman, send me info. I don't know how to send you info. If you just do, if you're looking for this power steering stuff, look up West Coast Classic Cougar. So if you look them up, they've got websites. They should be able to, a website. They should be able to help you out with that. So that's there you go. West Coast Classic Cougar right there. And the shop says, "Oh yeah, Jobber panels. I hear you. Yeah, they're not the best, but it's what the owner of the Camaro had bought, and so I was kind of just hoping that they would work, but I really just didn't like them. I'm a little picky. If anybody hasn't noticed that, I'm a little picky when it comes to fitment. It's torture. It is torture, but it ends up with a good, everything good at the end. So, okay, I can hear it. My voice is starting to get rough. That tells me it's time to call it a night. I appreciate everybody being here. Again, if you haven't, check out Nick Pixel TV, and of course keep up with Robert and Don and everybody else who's putting videos out and stuff like that. There's good information out there, and it's well worth sharing that stuff so everybody can take advantage of it. But that'll be it for this live stream. I do plan to be here next week. Should be no reason why I shouldn't be. So next Monday it is, and until next time, take care of yourselves. See ya.